excited to get to know you more. We've met through mutual friends and we've hung out socially. And then I found out, you know, you're one of the co-founders of Up North Pride, a storyteller, oracle guide, witch, and I just can't wait to get into all this juicy stuff. So cheers.
L'chaim.
We're going to toast to you. This is delish.
Yay.
What you just made for us. You know, when you're in Traverse City, you can't miss the Up North Pride signs. The yellow circle, rainbow, and the water, designed by Aaron Draplin. And I really first want to thank you for making Traverse City more safe and diverse and inclusive.
Thank you.
And I'd love to kind of go back to, was it 2014? The very beginning and that light bulb moment where you realized you wanted to create something.
Well, it was the sort of thing where having moved back to Traverse City and having this experience of having lived in Chicago for a number of years, and before that living overseas for a couple of years, there were just a lot of times when I would be someplace, Meyer, for example, and like my partner and I would get weird looks. And I was just like, this is my town. Like, you don't get to look at me like that.
Right.
I'm like a 4th generation Traverse City native. Like, no, that's not okay. So there's a part of that that was just a matter of pride in Traverse City and knowing what Traverse City could be as far as a welcoming and really inclusive intersectional area. So I think it was more of a realization. Like, I don't think we really knew what we were getting into at all. So a lot of it was just like, oh, there's no pride here. And there had been events going as back far as the late 80s and early 90s that folks in Leelanau County and around here organized. There was a group called Friends North that was active for many years. But it was just the sort of thing that people had bad activism boundaries and couldn't sustain the amount of work it takes.
So did you ever imagine it would become what it is today? That first moment where you're like, you know, let's get some people together, put something together, maybe throw just one event. And did you ever imagine what it would be?
I mean, I'm one of those people who has like big vision, big dreams. So I was kind of like, someday this is going to be at the open space and we're going to have Ben de la Creme. You know, like that was my intention once we started organizing this as a regular recurring event. And my co-founders, Johnny Cameron and Marta, I don't know what Marta's last name is now, apologies. Marta Turnbull is her previous last name. But those two, along with me, when we were starting it, we were just like, oh, you know, it would get to be like April and we're like, oh, I guess we have to organize the 7 days of events now, the 3 of us. So in a way, like there's no way we could have foreseen that it would be run by like such an amazing board. The group of people who are currently doing operations and everything are incredible. And of course, you know, everyone knows Nick Viox and Heather Spooner and Holly Bird and all these people who have been a part of the organization and making it what it is, who are either active members or consulting members or people who we touch base with. You know, I'm not doing it justice because I don't remember everyone's name right off the top of my head.
There's so many people involved now.
Many hands,
On upnorthpride.com, there's like a whole calendar of events. And it's so much more than just the Pride Week. But I'd love to hear what is a favorite memory from Pride Week over the years and if there's one that stands out.
You know, I have to say, when we had the drag show at the Little Fleet, and I think it was when Peppermint came and she was our queen that year, and it was just, no one knew that we were gonna have 3,000 to 4,000 people there that night.
Wow.
Like the bar was not prepared. Like
right.
You know, it was amazing. So when we got up on stage and announced the acts, or when we got up on stage and looked out and saw that it went all the way to Front Street and in both directions, it was just like, it was amazing, you know?
Kind of like a pinch me moment.
Yeah, I think the first one, though, was actually the year that Carter and Amy were our grand marshals. And we had, I think that was the first year that we had 3,000 people march down Front Street.
Wow.
And so the estimation was right before the pandemic was our largest event, and they estimated we had 6,000 people.
Oh my gosh.
So every bit of that information is inspiring and amazing to me, and it really speaks to what this community is capable of and what we're becoming. And I think we should all be very proud of that.
Yes. I'm wondering also, kind of along the same line, if there's a story that you could share on how you've seen the work and existence of Up North Pride really like make an impact on like an individual. I'm sure,
God, sure.
Many people may have shared their stories with you, and if there's something that stands out.
You know, it's whenever I'm going to cry if I talk about it, but like whenever there's been an event that a young person comes up to me and is just like, I can't believe that this is happening here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it makes all the years that we did try to do it ourselves, all the years that we didn't have a board, all the years that we weren't even incorporated as a nonprofit. We just put everything on, you know, Johnny's mother's credit card and then sold T-shirts hoping we were going to break even and stuff like that. So it's such a shoot for the moon kind of event, and it has grown so exponentially that like everyone talks about how it's good for them. Businesses downtown talk about how they're literally proud to hang their pride signs and flags, and the youth really, honestly, that's who gets me the most, is young people come up to us and say, I'm so glad that this happens here, or I came out to my mom today. I mean, it's just like,
yeah. And it all, you know, you see the Up North Pride all the way up in Northport, all the way up towards Mackinac. So it's such not
a
just
gift.
here in
It's such a gift to drive around and see those signs.
Yeah.
I mean, even as someone who's been a part of it from the beginning, like to see that sign, it resonates a message of hope. It sends a message of belonging.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I mean, thank the maker.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
So I'm pumped to talk about this course you just launched.
Oh, yeah.
To unleash your inner witchcraft and inner magic. It's called Unburnable. And it was born out of a time where you had a breast cancer diagnosis and you survived chemo and surgery all through the pandemic. So I can't imagine how hard that was. And then to come out of that and to put yourself out there and take this leap, to then share these lifelong learnings to help other people. tell me about Burnable and like who should take this course. That's kind of a lot there, but
no, yeah, the idea came out of, if we just used these ancient technologies essentially of prayer and commanding our own energies and asking for help from the archangels. I mean, it's called witchcraft, but it's hilariously very related to religion because of the traditions that it arose from. I just think it's a really interesting thing to get back to some of these Kabbalistic practices, some of the ancient practices that had been around during the time before and during the life of Christ. So I think it's a very curious thing to help people identify what they want, to encourage them to command it as if they would if they thought they already had it, and to work with different kinds of energetics to bring that about. And some of those are very practical things, like, can you just, resonate the names of God and point at the sky? Like, yeah, you can do that. That's not going to get your book written,
Yeah.
But if you walk through these steps that I have organized into, an ongoing kind of a rolling program that you can do in 7 weeks, or you can take a year to do it. It's up to, it's very self-paced.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to tune into what you most want in life and make a little bit more of a plan in how to get it, and use these tools along the way to encourage the process, I think.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to have to do it. I have to ask, you knew you had something of value to share and help people, but what was that process like, taking like these lifelong lessons and formalizing it into this teachable program? And what I really admire about you is, you did it with Up North Pride, and you're doing it here. It's like you have this idea, and you're actually able then to almost like formalize it. So was that an easy process to put together this course, or?
I mean, it was really interesting because people just kept asking me, like, how did you get through all that stuff? How did you get through chemo and breast cancer and surgeries and all of that, Yeah. And I had to kind of slow down and retrace my steps. And that's easy because I keep a journal every day. And what I found was that there was this sense of focusing on what I want on the other side of this diagnosis, focusing on what I want on the other side of this treatment. And for me, I often jokingly say to my students, who are mostly women, I'm just teaching you how to have the self-esteem of an average white man. And so there's this aspect to it that is just very much about believing that your dream matters. And there's like a joke on the internet that, in the ancient times, they were like, you must hold rainwater in the bladder of a goat under a full moon. And it's like, nowadays people just like, I'm going to go ahead and write in lipstick on the side of this toaster oven that this toaster waffle is going to make my dreams come true. And that's magic. And there's truth in both of those things, right? There's truth in ways to kind of create a magical experience for yourself so that you are in resonance with your dreams more than you're in resonance with the day-to-day, because the day-to-day is going to continue to provide us opportunities to grow, and we don't generally sign up for the easy courses.
Right.
So if we're not signing up for the easy courses, then it's on us to make magic that's joyful and beautiful and healing for us and each other and the world in between those painful lessons that life will continue to dole out.
So good. So I want to read something that you wrote on your website.
Okay.
You said, a life-threatening cancer diagnosis doesn't cook dinner or do dishes. It doesn't grocery shop or help fold laundry. You still have to do all that. What were some of those daily practices that you utilized to ground yourself, to discharge negative energy, to welcome energy, and instantly promote like a state of flow?
Well, I've practiced Tai Chi and Qigong since 1991.
Dang.
So for me, the energy practices of grounding myself and moving my own body's energy is something that I've practiced every day for a very long time. And the experience of working I've always been really good at meditating. Not really, I'm terrible at meditating. That's why I have to do it 3 times a day. But like, I've always been strict, I guess, about doing it with regularity, terribly. And it was more for me opening up to praying, because they say, prayer is when we ask God for things and meditation is when we receive. And so being aware that I'd been in this sort of like quietly receptive state for so long, and in some ways, as a Jew, being unsure about like, well, we don't petition the Lord with prayer, that kind of thing. But choosing to, saying like, someone's going to have to help me through this, and I have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to friendship. I mean, you and I, we have similar friends. They're great people, we know. And I think that there's just a part of it that was about opening up to receiving for me. And that was not a comfortable place. It's still not a terribly comfortable place for me. I would much rather like, oh, you're not feeling well? Let me fix that for you. So taking my 18 years of clinical experience as an acupuncturist, taking my 30 years of experience studying Tai Chi and Qigong and Taoism, and taking my deep, passionate love of Kabbalah and spirit, and kind of creating something that could help someone get through a hard time, or might just help someone make their life a little bit better because it gives them an opportunity to see, wow, I wrote this thing down 3 times about this thing that isn't my job. A lot of the work I do one-on-one with clients is working with, how do we get your side hustle to be your full-time gig, if you want that? Or how do we cultivate your side hustle to be this really nourishing, generative thing that could theoretically make your full-time gig not necessary? So a lot of the experience that I had in creating this curriculum was just needing it for myself.
And that's one of the, you knew that it was something that you would want. So there's other people out there who could benefit too.
Yeah, and a lot of my students have been people from various walks of life. A lot of them have gone through tragedies and been like, whoa, life is short. I'm going to have to like figure out how to drive this thing.
Wow.
And I think one of the biggest lessons in my whole course that people talk about all the time is done, not perfect. I'm like, listen, read your homework, do the things, but make sure you do it done, not perfect. Because the more you practice, not perfect, the more you're practicing, the more you're actually doing something that could be generative for you. Instead of just like waiting for that perfect moment when the moon's here and the thing and la la la. It's like, no. This is about making opportunities in our day-to-day lives to be receptive to the magic and the abundant glory that's all around us.
So good. Or waiting for something, to be perfect before you put it out into the world.
Or waiting for something to be so bad that you have to ask. Right?
Yeah.
Being in a place of, wow, I could actually ask people for help even if I don't get cancer. I wonder if that prevents people from getting cancer. I don't know. I'm finding out.
Where did healing meet magic in your journey?
Well, it was a very healer, heal thyself kind of message that came home hard with all of this. It was very much like, how have I been treating people for 18 years with acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, running a successful clinical practice, and I got cancer. Like, okay, what do I know? What do I know that's helpful? Is anything helpful? And it was a bit of a crisis of faith in a way. So it created an opportunity, right, to step into this place where I was like, okay, I'm just going to step into the next illuminated pool of light and trust that the next step on the path will be illuminated.
So good. Just the other day, obviously I knew I was interviewing you, but I heard Robin Roberts say that she lives by the notion of make your mess your message.
I like that.
And then also with so much uncertainty, there are so many possibilities. So it just got me thinking what, that kind of reminded me of you, that you've taken something and have turned it into a way to help others. But what are some mottos that you live by?
Well, done, not perfect.
There we go. Yeah.
That's a big one. As long as you're green, you grow. As soon as you think you're ripe, you start to rot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this isn't really a quote, but finding out that what you feel matters, that what you and your body say yes and no to matter, that is such a fundamental level of existence that we're not really taught to tune into. Like, oh, how do I feel about this? What is my body saying yes or no? Do I conceptually want to say yes or no to this thing? We don't really allow ourselves time to reflect on that because we're so busy being like, okay, no one can tell that I'm just a little kid driving around this grown-up body, right? Like, no one can tell. Okay, cool. I'm still passing. All right, no one knows. Yep, I'm still okay. You know?
Yeah.
So there's this part of it that's, I mean, I guess that would be one of my quotes. Like,
I
we're all
love that.
just little kids driving around these grown-up bodies.
Yeah. So, of course, we have to talk about Traverse City.
Yes, please.
How would you describe the community here?
Like the whole of Traverse City,
Yeah,
or like the vibe, or
yeah.
I mean, I think about how it was when I was growing up, you know, a little further out on the 9,000 section of this road, and it was a very different place then. It isn't the town I grew up in. It's not the place I went to high school. It is inherently and in so many ways more expansive, more welcoming, there's more opportunity here now. There's more, and with opportunity come challenges, you know, like the issues that we're facing the LGBTQIA plus community are still facing the community, you know, the fact that we live adjacent to two sovereign nations, you know, and that's a part of our community, that we have rich cultural history here that we don't talk about or know a lot about, you know, usually, generally speaking, as white people. So I think that there's this enormous wealth of both natural beauty and generative conversation and interesting opportunities.
Yeah.
And great people, like just the highest quality people, you know? So there's a part of it that when I talk to friends from, you know, my old life in the city, in Chicago or in London, I'm always a little bit embarrassed to be like, yeah, but I have a lot of really great friends. You know, it's just like, there's just such great people up here.
Yeah, there really are. Yeah.
So I would say that is one of the significant defining factors of what this area is and why it's great.
Okay, quick fire, one word answers.
Okay.
Go-to restaurant.
Pass.
Favorite outdoor activity.
Walking, swimming.
Northern Michigan's best kept secret.
I'm not going to tell anyone here.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
And if you could have a drink with anyone, who would it be?
Living or dead? Ooh. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, excellent answer. Thanks for having a drink with us. And
thank you.
On the website, I said, I read that Traverse City is one of the most progressive vacation destinations in the U.S. And I just hope you feel super awesome for being a part of that. So thank you.
I feel very grateful.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.